Taylor Swift was sitting in the back row of a community center in Franklin, Tennessee, watching a local youth talent competition. Her cousin's daughter was competing, so Taylor had come to support her. Incognito in the back, baseball cap pulled low, just another parent in the audience. The judge, a bitter Nashville songwriter who'd never quite made it, was being brutally harsh with the young performers, criticizing their vocal technique and stage presence with a cruelty that made Taylor's stomach turn. After the fifth performer finished, the judge took the microphone and said condescendingly, "You know what? None of you can really sing. You're all copying TikTok videos and Instagram reels with no understanding of real vocal technique. You want to see real singing, real breath control, real performance?" She scanned the audience with contempt. "Anyone here think they can sing better than these kids?" Taylor, in the back row, quietly raised her hand. The judge spotted her and grinned like she'd just caught prey. "You, random audience member? Come on up and show us what you've got." What happened in the next 6 minutes became the most legendary moment in Franklin's talent show history, and a masterclass in how to defend young artists while teaching a lesson about the difference between critique and cruelty. It was a Saturday afternoon in March 2023, and Taylor Swift was doing something she rarely did anymore, attending a local community event as a regular person. Her cousin's daughter, Emma, who was 16, was competing in Franklin Youth Talent Showcase, an annual competition held at the community center. Emma had been nervous for weeks, practicing constantly, and had specifically asked Taylor to come watch but to please stay anonymous. "I want to do this on my own, without people knowing you're here," Emma had said. "Can you just come as my cousin, not as Taylor Swift?" So Taylor had agreed. She wore jeans, a simple sweater, a Predators baseball cap, and minimal makeup. She sat in the back row near the door, just another supportive family member in an audience of maybe 100 people. Parents, friends, siblings, all there to watch local kids perform. The competition had 12 performers, ranging from 13 to 18 years old. Most were doing covers, a few brave souls attempting originals. The format was straightforward. Each performer got one song, and a panel of 3 judges scored them on vocal ability, stage presence, and overall performance. 2 of the judges were local vocal coaches, both encouraging and constructive in their feedback. But the third judge was making Taylor increasingly angry. Her name was Victoria Hayes, and according to the program, she'd been a Nashville songwriter and demo singer in the 2000s and early 2010s. She'd co-written a few songs that had been recorded by artists Taylor had never heard of, had done backup vocals on some records that went nowhere, and now ran a vocal coaching studio in Franklin where Taylor suspected she charged a lot and delivered disappointment, and Victoria was being cruel to these kids. The first performer, a 13-year-old girl singing Olivia Rodrigo's Driver's License, finished her song. Victoria took the microphone with a condescending smile. That was pitchy throughout. "Your breath control is non-existent. You're just shouting the high notes instead of supporting them properly. This is basic technique you should have mastered before getting on any stage. I'd say you need at least 2 years of serious vocal training before you're ready to perform publicly." The girl looked devastated. One of the other judges tried to offer something positive, but Victoria had poisoned the moment. The second performer, a 15-year-old boy doing Shallow from A Star Is Born, got similar treatment. "You're trying to sing a Lady Gaga song without understanding vocal dynamics. This is just loud singing, not controlled performance. There's no artistry here, just volume." The third performer did Taylor Swift's Anti-Hero. Victoria's critique made Taylor's hands clench into fists. "You're doing karaoke, not performing. You're imitating the recording instead of making it your own. Real artists interpret songs, they don't just copy them. This is what's wrong with your generation. You think mimicking what you hear on Spotify is the same as actual singing." Taylor wanted to stand up right then, but she'd promised Emma to stay quiet. She watched as performer after performer got torn apart by this bitter woman who'd clearly never achieved her own dreams and was now taking it out on children. The fifth performer was Emma, Taylor's cousin's daughter. Emma had chosen to sing an original song she'd written, which took incredible courage. It was called Small Moments, a sweet, honest song about appreciating everyday life. Emma's voice was pretty, not technically perfect, but genuine and heartfelt. She made it through the song, her hands shaking slightly on the microphone, but she finished strong. Victoria waited, then delivered her verdict with that same cruel smile. "Original songs are brave, I'll give you that. But this was amateur songwriting paired with mediocre vocals. Your melody is predictable, your lyrics are cliché, and your vocal performance was shaky and unsupported. If you're going to write your own material, you need to understand that real songwriting takes years to develop. This sounds like a diary entry set to generic chords. Taylor watched Emma's face crumble. Her cousin's daughter had just shared something deeply personal, something she'd created, and this woman had dismissed it as a diary entry. Victoria wasn't finished. She stood up from her judge's table and addressed the entire room. You know what? I'm going to be honest with all of you. None of these kids can really sing, not at a professional level. What I've heard today is a lot of copying, a lot of karaoke, a lot of kids who think watching YouTube tutorials makes them ready to perform. But real singing, real technique, real artistry? I haven't heard any of that today. She walked to the center of the small stage with the microphone, clearly enjoying her moment of superiority. You want to know what real vocal performance sounds like? The kind of control, the kind of technique, the kind of interpretation that separates amateurs from professionals? The difference between these kids singing Taylor Swift songs and Taylor Swift actually singing them? She scanned the audience with a challenging, contemptuous expression. Anyone here think they can sing? Anyone think they actually understand what real vocal technique sounds like? Anyone want to come up here and show me what a properly performed song should sound like? The audience was silent, uncomfortable with Victoria's hostility. The young performers in the front row looked humiliated. Parents looked angry but unsure how to respond. Taylor felt something inside her snap. She'd promised Emma she'd stay anonymous, that she wouldn't make this about herself, but she couldn't sit here and watch this failed songwriter destroy the confidence of kids who were doing something Victoria apparently never had the courage to do. Actually create, actually perform, actually risk judgment. Taylor slowly raised her hand. Victoria spotted the movement in the back. You, woman in the baseball cap, you think you can sing? She grinned like she'd just won something. Perfect. Come on up here and show us what you've got. Let's see if you can back up that raised hand. Taylor stood up and started walking down the center aisle toward the stage. As she got closer to the stage lights and people got a better look at her face, whispers started spreading through the audience like wildfire. Parents were pulling out their phones. The other judges looked confused, then shocked. Emma, sitting in the front row with the other performers, looked horrified and amazed at the same time. Victoria was still talking, enjoying her moment. Fair warning, whoever you are. I've been in the Nashville music industry for 20 years. I've written songs, sung on professional recordings, worked with major producers. I know real singing when I hear it, so if you're just going to waste everyone's time with more amateur... She stopped mid-sentence as Taylor stepped fully into the stage light and removed her baseball cap. Her blonde hair fell down, and there was no mistaking who she was. The entire community center erupted. People were screaming, pulling out phones, standing up. Kids were crying. Victoria's face went from confident to confused to absolutely pale in about 3 seconds. "Oh my God, you're Taylor Swift." "I am," Taylor said calmly, her voice steady but cold. "And I'd like to sing since you challenged the audience. Do you have a microphone I can use?" One of the young performers, the girl who'd sung Anti-Hero earlier, was holding the microphone with shaking hands. Taylor walked over to her. "Can I borrow that for a minute?" The girl nodded, speechless, and handed Taylor the microphone. Taylor turned to face Victoria, who looked like she wanted to disappear into the floor. "You said you wanted to hear real singing, real technique, real performance. I thought I'd demonstrate. But first, I need to address something you said." The room went completely silent. Even the excited whispers stopped. Taylor's voice was calm but firm, the voice of someone who'd spent years dealing with critics and had learned exactly how to handle them. "You told these kids that they can't really sing, that they're amateurs doing karaoke, that they're wasting everyone's time." Taylor gestured to the young performers in the front row. "But every single one of these kids did something incredibly brave today. They got on stage. They performed in front of an audience. They risked judgment and criticism. That takes more courage than most people ever show in their entire lives." Victoria tried to speak. "I was just providing professional critique." "You were being cruel," Taylor interrupted, her voice still calm but with steel underneath. "There's a difference between constructive criticism and tearing people down. Constructive criticism helps people grow. What you were doing destroys confidence. And I know the difference because I've experienced both." Taylor looked at the young performers. "I started performing when I was 11 years old. I played at festivals, coffee houses, county fairs. I wasn't perfect. I made mistakes. My voice cracked. I forgot lyrics. I had pitch issues. But you know what helped me improve? People who saw my potential and encouraged me. People who gave me specific, kind, actionable feedback. Not people who told me I should quit and come back in 5 years when I'd learned to really sing. She turned back to Victoria. So yes, I'll sing. I'll show these kids what you seem to think they should be aspiring to. But I'm going to do it without any special equipment, without perfect acoustics, without my usual setup, just like they did. Taylor looked at the community center's basic sound system, the kind you'd find in any small venue. One speaker, a simple mixer, no special effects. She looked at the young guitarist who'd accompanied some of the earlier performers. Can you play guitar? Do you know any Taylor Swift songs? The boy, maybe 16, nodded frantically. Yes, I know a lot of them. Great. Do you know All Too Well? The 10-minute version? Yes, I think so. I've practiced it. Perfect. We'll do that, and if you make mistakes, that's completely fine. I'll work with whatever you play. Taylor positioned herself center stage, microphone in hand. The guitarist grabbed his acoustic guitar, a basic Yamaha that probably cost $300. His hands were shaking. The entire community center was losing their minds. Parents were recording on every phone. Kids were crying. Victoria was sitting in her judge's chair, looking like she might be sick. Taylor looked at the young guitarist and gave him a reassuring smile. Take your time. Start whenever you're ready. And remember, mistakes are just part of performing. It's how we handle them that matters. The boy started playing, and yes, he made mistakes. He missed a chord change about 30 seconds in. His strumming pattern wasn't quite right, but Taylor didn't stop or correct him. She just started singing, adjusting her phrasing slightly to match what he was playing, making it work. And then Taylor Swift sang All Too Well in a community center in Franklin, Tennessee, on a basic sound system with a nervous 16-year-old guitarist who was making mistakes, and it was absolutely breathtaking. She wasn't just performing. She was demonstrating everything Victoria had criticized these kids for lacking. She showed breath control by sustaining notes effortlessly. She showed dynamics by moving from whisper quiet verses to powerful choruses. She showed interpretation by adding subtle variations from the recorded version, making it feel fresh and immediate. She showed stage presence by connecting with every person in that room, making eye contact, using the space, telling the story of the song. But more than that, she was showing these kids that real performance isn't about perfection. When the guitarist made mistakes, Taylor didn't flinch. She adjusted. She smiled at him encouragingly. She made it work. She demonstrated that music is about connection, not technical flawlessness. People in the audience were openly crying. The young performers in the front row were mesmerized. Victoria was slumped in her chair, her face in her hands. Taylor sang all 10 minutes of the song, and when she finished, the final note hanging in the air, the community center exploded. People were on their feet screaming, applauding, crying. The young guitarist looked like he might pass out. Emma, Taylor's cousin's daughter, was sobbing with joy. Taylor handed the microphone to the guitarist. You did great. You kept playing even when you made mistakes, and that's what professionals do. Never stop, never apologize, just keep going. That's real performing. She turned to Victoria and held out her hand for the judge's microphone. Victoria handed it over without a word, looking like she wanted to crawl away. Taylor addressed the room, but really she was talking to the young performers. I came here today to support my cousin. I wasn't planning to perform, but I couldn't sit there and listen to someone tell these kids that they can't sing, that they're not good enough, that they should be ashamed of their efforts. She gestured to the young performers. Every person who performed today was brave. They took risks. They shared their art. Yes, they made mistakes. I make mistakes. Every performer makes mistakes. That's how we learn and grow. Taylor looked directly at Victoria. If you're going to judge young artists, your job is to help them improve, not destroy their confidence. You give specific feedback they can use. You acknowledge what they did well. You encourage them to keep trying. Being cruel to kids because you're bitter about your own career helps no one. It just makes you someone they'll remember as the person who tried to make them quit. The audience applauded again. Victoria looked like she was trying to become invisible. Taylor handed the microphone back and started to walk off stage, but Emma called out, "Taylor, wait!" Emma ran onto the stage and hugged her cousin. "Thank you. She was making all of us feel terrible, like we should give up." "Never give up. Taylor said, making sure her voice carried. Your song was beautiful, Emma. It was honest and real, and that matters more than technical perfection. Keep writing, keep singing, keep being brave enough to share your truth. The community center director, who'd been watching in complete shock, announced they were taking a break before announcing winners. Victoria quietly gathered her things and left. Taylor later heard she'd been asked not to judge future competitions. Emma didn't win the competition that day. A 17-year-old with genuine vocal training and years of experience took first place, and deservedly so. But Emma told Taylor afterward that she didn't care about winning anymore. You standing up for all of us was better than any trophy, Emma said. That woman was making everyone feel like we should quit music. Now I want to keep writing, keep performing, keep trying. The video of Taylor's performance went viral, of course, but more importantly, it sparked conversations across the music community about how to give constructive feedback to young artists. Victoria Hayes's name became synonymous with destructive criticism, a cautionary tale about what not to do. Taylor was invited to judge several youth talent competitions after that, and she accepted a few. Her judging style was completely different from Victoria's. She found something genuine to praise in every performance, gave specific and actionable advice for improvement, and always emphasized courage and authenticity over technical perfection. The goal isn't to be perfect, Taylor would tell young performers. The goal is to be brave enough to create, to keep learning, and to stay true to yourself. If you're doing those things, you're already succeeding. Everything else is just refinement. Emma went on to study songwriting at Belmont University and is now writing songs for other artists in Nashville. She keeps a photo from that day on her desk. Taylor standing on stage in a community center, defending young artists, showing everyone what real mentorship looks like. When people ask Emma about that day, she always says the same thing. My cousin Taylor didn't just perform that day. She taught everyone in that room that defending young artists matters more than looking important. She showed us that real success isn't about tearing others down, it's about lifting them up. That's the lesson I'll carry forever. If this story of standing up for young artists and the power of constructive encouragement moved you, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Share this with someone who needs to know that making mistakes while trying is better than never trying at all. Have you ever had someone defend you when you were being unfairly criticized? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to ring that notification bell for more incredible stories about the moments when courage and kindness change everything.